Michael Jordan visits the grave of a teammate who took his own life, then breaks down mid-interview. Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today, and if you like this story, don't forget to subscribe. The sky was overcast, clouds hanging low as if the weight of what was about to unfold needed a fitting backdrop. A single black SUV rolled to a stop on the gravel path that ran alongside the cemetery. The production crew waited by the gate, unsure if he would actually come. This wasn't a press tour, a documentary shoot, or even an ESPN tribute. It was quiet, raw, and unfiltered. Just one cameraman, one sound guy, one producer, and Michael Jordan. When he stepped out of the car, he didn't speak. No nod, no handshake. Just a firm walk toward the row of headstones like he knew exactly where he was going. He didn't wear the polished smile everyone was used to. Today, there was no Air Jordan, no Jumpman, no GOAT. Just Mike. The crew followed from a respectful distance, unsure how to begin. There was no script for this. The cameraman turned on the lens. The red light blinked. Jordan stood still at the headstone. Darren Willis, it read. No flashy nickname, no accolades, just name, date of birth, date of death, and silence. He stared at it. Hands in his coat pockets. Breathing steady, but heavy. The producer, Rachel, gave the cameraman a subtle signal. Record everything. Even the silence. After a few minutes, Jordan finally spoke. I told y'all I'd do this once. No retakes. No cutaways. He looked directly at the camera. This ain't for show. The microphone picked up a faint gust of wind. Rachel cleared her throat. We appreciate you trusting us with this, Mike. You can start whenever you're ready. He glanced at her, then looked back at the grave. You know, people forget about Darren. Hell, I almost did too. Not because he wasn't important. Just because it hurt too much to remember. The camera zoomed slightly. Jordan's hands fidgeted with a worn piece of paper he pulled from his coat. He was only on the team for 2 seasons. Most fans probably couldn't tell you his number. But I could. 12. Number 12. His voice cracked just slightly. Rachel stayed still. No one moved. This wasn't an interview. It was a confession. I remember the first time he came to practice. Didn't look like much. Skinny kid. Rough shot. But damn, he had heart. Would chase down every loose ball like his life depended on it. Never back down, even when I trash talk him. Most rookies folded. He smiled. Jordan knelt in front of the grave, brushing off a few dried leaves from the edge of the stone. They said he was too soft for the league. That he wasn't built for the grind. But they didn't see what I saw. He cared. More than all of us, probably. Rachel gave a subtle cue to the sound guy to lower ambient noise. Jordan was opening up. Let it run. I didn't come to his funeral, he said. I was playing overseas. Told myself I couldn't make it in time. Truth is, I could have. I just didn't want to see it. Didn't want to believe it. He stood up slowly, eyes locked on the name engraved in stone. Darren called me 3 days before he left us. A pause. I didn't answer. The producer's throat tightened. Jordan reached into his coat again and pulled out an old flip phone. He opened it, pressed a button. A low, tinny voice played from the speaker. Yo Mike, it's D. Just wanted to say thanks, man. For everything. I hope I didn't let you down. You were the only one who really believed in me. Anyway, I'm good. Just wanted to say that. The message ended. Jordan shut the phone and closed his eyes. He sounded calm. Too calm. I should have known. The wind picked up slightly, rustling the trees above. A single bird cawed in the distance. It felt like the entire cemetery was holding its breath. You know what I remember most? Jordan said, eyes still closed. That night in '92. We were down 3. Pippen fouled out. Kerr was hurt. Coach looked at the bench like he'd seen a ghost. Darren stood up before he was even called. He didn't hesitate. Hit the tying 3. Got the stop on the next play. Then passed it to me for the game winner. But no one talked about him after. Just me. Always me. He took a breath and looked straight into the camera. That kid saved that game. Saved our season. But all he got was cut the next year. No contract. No recognition. Just gone. Rachel wiped her eyes suddenly, pretending to check her notes. I got busy. Championships, endorsements, all of it. He wrote me letters. I never wrote back. Didn't mean to be cold. I just didn't know how to handle failure. Not mine. His. He turned his back to the grave and faced the camera fully. People think greatness is about winning. It's not. It's about what you carry when no one's looking. And I've been carrying this for a long time. His voice cracked again, but he pushed through. I wasn't there when he needed me. That's not leadership. That's abandonment. He looked off to the side, as if something far away was catching his attention. Rachel stepped in cautiously. Mike, do you want to stop? He shook his head. No. Let it roll. I need this. But the words didn't come. He looked back at the gravestone, trying to speak. Nothing came out. He swallowed hard, jaw tight, fists clenched. The tears welled, but he didn't fight them. Not today. After a long pause, he muttered, barely audible, Darren, man. I'm sorry. He turned, walked toward the SUV, not waiting for the crew, not waiting for applause or sympathy. Just silence behind him. The camera kept rolling, catching the frame of the gravestone, the clouds darkening, and the sound of a legend finally admitting he wasn't invincible. Not even close. The sky stayed gray as the crew sat in stunned silence, still processing what they'd just witnessed. Michael Jordan had left the frame, but no one dared hit stop on the camera. Rachel stared at the monitor, blinking slowly, trying to figure out what came next. The man they'd come to film had cracked open a sealed vault of pain, and now that it was open, there was no stuffing it back in. Did you know about the voicemail? The sound guy asked quietly. No, Rachel replied. No one knew. They packed up slowly, giving MJ time to be alone. He hadn't told them if he'd be back or if that was it. They didn't even know where he'd gone. The SUV was still there, doors locked. Jordan must have wandered deeper into the cemetery. Rachel looked at the old flip phone he'd left behind, sitting on the headstone like an offering. She didn't touch it. 10 minutes passed before they heard footsteps behind them. Jordan came back without a word. His eyes were puffy, but he looked clearer, like someone who had finally stopped pretending he wasn't bleeding. Camera still rolling? He asked. Rachel nodded. Yes. You want to keep going? Jordan didn't answer. Instead, he sat on the grass, cross-legged in front of the headstone. No flash, no drama. Just a man trying to sit with something he'd ignored too long. He had asthma, Jordan said suddenly. No one knew. Kept it quiet. Thought it made him look weak. Used to sneak his inhaler under his sock during games. He chuckled. Not out of humor, more like disbelief. One time, we had a back-to-back road trip, Denver, then Phoenix. Thin air, then dry heat. Coach didn't want to play him. Said it was too risky. Darren told him, I didn't come here to be careful. Jordan shook his head. That was him. Always pushing harder than his body could take. Trying to prove he belonged. Rachel scribbled notes even though the camera had everything. She wasn't a reporter anymore, she was a witness. There was this one night, Jordan said, eyes far away. We lost to Detroit. I was pissed. Broke a chair in the locker room. Everyone cleared out. Darren stayed. Quiet. Just sat there, like he was waiting for me to breathe. Jordan paused. Then he said, "You carry the team." "Who carries you?" That line hung in the air, heavier than anything yet. He didn't say it to be deep. He meant it. He saw things in people. Things they didn't even admit to themselves. Rachel cleared her throat. "Mike, why didn't you ever talk about him before?" Jordan looked at her. "Because no one ever asked. And I wasn't brave enough to bring it up." Another silence. But this one felt necessary. "I've seen a lot of guys come and go," he continued. "Big names, busts, legends, flakes. Darren was different. He didn't care about fame. He just wanted to be part of something bigger than himself." Jordan wiped his nose with the back of his hand. "When he got cut, I told him to keep training. That I'd make a call. I did. Just one. GM told me the roster was full. I let it go. That was my mistake. I let it go." He stood up, walking around the grave like the motion helped him think. After that, he bounced around the G League, a few tryouts in Europe. But his knees were going. And I think something in him cracked. I didn't see it. Or maybe I did. And just didn't want to. Rachel finally spoke. "Do you think you could have saved him?" Jordan froze. His jaw clenched. "I don't know," he said. "But I should have tried harder." The words were heavy, real. Not rehearsed. "Everyone thinks I'm cold. That I'm obsessed with winning. Maybe they're right. But this wasn't about winning. It was about showing up for someone who showed up for me." He pulled something from his pocket, a worn wristband. The kind players wore in the 90s, soaked in sweat and grit. He held it for a moment, then placed it on the grave. "He gave me this. Said it was lucky. I wore it under my jersey during the '93 playoffs. Never told anyone." Rachel opened her mouth, then closed it. No more questions needed. Jordan sat again, his voice softening. "I heard from his mom once. After the funeral. She sent a letter. Said Darren always called me his big brother. Said I made him feel seen. He looked down. I never wrote back. I didn't know what to say. What do you say to a mother who buried her son and still finds the strength to comfort you?" The crew was dead silent. "I saw Darren the week before," Jordan added. "At a charity event. He was smiling, cracking jokes. Said he was thinking about coaching. I told him that'd be perfect for him. He said, 'You really think so?' And I nodded. He smiled. That was the last time." A bird landed on the headstone, pecked at the corner of the dirt, then flew away. Jordan watched it go. He gave everything. Heart, hustle, loyalty. But the world doesn't remember guys like that. They remember the ones who scored. The ones on posters. Rachel stepped forward. "You're changing that now." Jordan looked her dead in the eyes. "I'm not doing this to change perception. I'm doing it because if I don't say his name, no one will." He walked over to the camera, close enough to fog the lens slightly. "Darren Willis. Number 12. My teammate. My brother. And a better man than people ever knew." He stepped back, took a deep breath. "I wasn't there when he fell. But I'm here now. And I won't let him be forgotten." The clouds parted slightly above them. "Just a sliver of light. That's all I got," he said. But Rachel knew it wasn't all. Not even close. He walked away again, leaving them with silence. Not the cold kind, but the kind that asks for reflection. And the camera kept rolling. The next morning, the crew met at a nearby diner. No one had slept much. Rachel kept watching the footage over and over, MJ's words looping in her mind. His voice cracked just before he said Darren's name. Then the silence. The kind you feel in your chest. Do you think he'll want to film more? The cameraman asked between bites of cold eggs. Rachel shrugged. If he shows up, we shoot. If not, we pack up and go. Outside, the wind had died down. There was a stillness in the air, like even the weather was waiting to see what would happen next. At noon, Jordan returned. Same SUV. Same slow walk. But this time, he brought something with him, a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. He didn't say hello. Just walked straight to the grave again. I want to show you something, he said. He knelt and unzipped the bag, pulling out a pair of old sneakers, worn, creased, the laces frayed. Game 6. Finals. 93. Darren was sitting behind the bench. I gave him these after. Told him he earned them. Rachel frowned. I thought you donated those to the Hall of Fame. Jordan smirked. That's what I told them. But these were his. I couldn't let them go. He placed the shoes beside the headstone like a gift being returned to its rightful owner. Then he sat down and started talking, not to the camera, not to the crew, but to Darren. I should have called more. Should have checked in when you disappeared from the league. I saw your name pop up in a Eurostat sheet once. You had 12 points, 8 assists. I smiled. But I didn't reach out. He ran a hand over his head. I told myself you were okay. But I think deep down, I knew you weren't. He reached into his coat and pulled out a folded newspaper clipping, yellowed, creased. He held it up for a second, then read. Former Bull Darren Willis found dead in Chicago apartment. Authorities confirm suicide. Jordan's voice tightened. That was it. No tribute. No highlights. Just a headline and a quote from the coroner. Rachel looked away. The sound guy shifted uncomfortably. Even the camera seemed unsure whether it was supposed to witness this. I should have gone to the funeral, Jordan said again. Everyone told me to let it go. That it wasn't my fault. But they didn't know the truth. He leaned back on his elbows. You remember that last game you played for us? You had 6 turnovers. The crowd booed. Coach yanked you early. Jordan paused, staring at the gravestone. And I said nothing. He looked up at the sky. I was tired. Burned out. Didn't have room to carry anyone else. But you didn't ask for much. Just a little acknowledgement. A little humanity. He pulled out a tape cassette, placed it beside the sneakers. You gave me this mixtape once. Said it was for long flights. I never listened to it back then. Thought I'd get around to it. I listened to it last night. He smiled faintly. Man, your taste in music was wild. Marvin Gaye, then Tupac, then Bon Jovi. You were all over the place. Rachel stepped in. Can we ask you something, Mike? He nodded. Why now? Why talk about him after all these years? Jordan didn't hesitate. Because pretending like I'm above regret doesn't work anymore. I lost a brother, and I buried it to protect a legacy. That was wrong. He stood up slowly. You know, I've been honored 100 times. Trophies, awards, statues. But this right here? He pointed to the grave. This is the one place that reminds me I didn't always win. He turned to walk away, then stopped. Darren used to tell me I was human, not a god. That greatness didn't mean perfection. It meant owning your mistakes. I didn't believe him then. Jordan looked back at the grave one more time. But I do now. The crew followed him back to the SUV. He didn't get in right away. You're still recording? He asked. Rachel nodded. I want to tell you something I never said out loud before. He leaned against the car. That last week. I did call him back. Once. Got his voicemail. I hung up. He paused. I tell myself it wouldn't have changed anything. But the truth is, maybe it would've. Rachel kept the camera rolling. No cuts. He didn't need me to fix things. He just needed to hear that he mattered. And I blew it. He finally opened the car door, but didn't get in. You know what the worst part is? People still don't remember him. They remember the highlight reel, the shoes, the buzzer beaters. But this silence? This is where the real story is. He nodded to Rachel. Finish the piece. But don't make it about me. Then who? She asked. Jordan didn't blink. Make it about Darren. He got in the SUV and closed the door gently. The engine started, and just like that, he was gone. The cemetery was quiet again. The sneakers, the mixtape, and the wristband sat beside the grave. Nothing flashy. Just memories, finally spoken out loud. Rachel looked down at her notes, but she didn't need them anymore. The story had already told itself. Rachel sat in her hotel room that night, surrounded by equipment, files, and silence. The footage was raw. The story practically cut itself together, but she hesitated. This wasn't just a sports piece. It wasn't even just a tribute. It was a reckoning. And now, it was more than just Jordan's story. It was about what people forget when they idolize greatness, about the shadows that don't make the highlight reel. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She picked it up cautiously. Rachel? This is Marcus Jordan. Michael's son. She hadn't expected that. I saw the rough cut, he said, voice steady but low. It's good. But my dad's not done. She sat upright. What do you mean? He wants to meet you tomorrow. Same place. The call ended. At sunrise, the crew returned to the cemetery. The air was lighter today. Less oppressive. Michael arrived 15 minutes later, wearing a plain hoodie and jeans. No security, no entourage. Just him. And this time, he wasn't alone. A young man walked beside him, tall, athletic build, maybe 19 or 20. His face was familiar, like a softer version of someone they'd already seen in photos. This is Devin, Jordan said. Darren's son. The name hit like a punch. Rachel's eyes widened. She had no idea Darren had a kid. Devin shook her hand, nervous but respectful. I was just a baby when he died. I didn't know much. Until recently. Jordan put a hand on the young man's shoulder. I made a promise to his mom. That I'd look out for him. Quietly. No cameras. No headlines. Devin nodded. He paid for school. Helped with everything. I only found out last year it was him. Jordan stepped forward, addressing Rachel and the camera. I've lived a long time thinking I could make peace with what happened by staying silent. I was wrong. Silence just makes the guilt grow louder. He looked at Devin, who walked to the grave and knelt. I used to wonder why my dad gave up, Devin said, voice low but clear. I thought he was weak. But now I know he just didn't have anyone left to lean on. He gave his best to everyone else, and had nothing left for himself. Jordan looked down. He carried more than we realized. Rachel let the camera run. She wasn't going to stop a moment like this. I used to think, Devin continued, that my dad didn't matter. That he was just another bench player. But he mattered to you. That's something. Jordan nodded. He mattered more than people understood. And I should have said that while he was still here. They stood together for a while. No one rushed. No one tried to script anything. It wasn't about image. It wasn't even about healing. It was about truth. Then Jordan spoke again. After Darren passed, I didn't just bury him. I buried the parts of myself that felt things too deeply. I told myself I needed to stay cold. Keep pushing. Keep winning. But I think I lost more than I won by doing that. Rachel took a step closer. Is that why you're doing this now? He looked at her. Partly. And partly because Darren never got a moment to shine. Not really. This story, it's his. I'm just the one left to tell it. Devin stood up, brushing dirt from his jeans. I want to do something in his name. Something that helps players like him. Guys who don't make the big contracts, who struggle quietly. Jordan raised an eyebrow. You sure about that? Yeah. I think he would have wanted that. Jordan nodded. Then let's do it. Rachel asked, You're talking about a foundation? Not just that, Jordan replied. Resources. Mentors. A real safety net. Because we keep telling players to be warriors. But no one teaches them how to survive when the lights go out. Devin looked at him. You'll help me start it? Jordan smiled faintly. I already have. He pulled a folded document from his back pocket, signed papers, already notarized. It's called the D12 Project, Jordan said. After his jersey number. After his legacy. Rachel's cameraman zoomed in, capturing the paper just long enough to read the name. Jordan looked directly into the lens. This isn't about pity. It's about responsibility. If we can build entire systems around talent, we can build safety nets around the people who carry that talent. Devin stared at the grave, eyes watering. You think he'd be proud? Jordan didn't hesitate. He'd be proud of you. For doing what we didn't. There was a pause. A long one. Rachel let it stretch. Jordan looked up at the trees. You know, I used to think legacy was about numbers. Rings. Stats. But it's not. It's about who remembers you, and why. He turned back to Devin. You keep his memory alive, not with fame, but with purpose. They stayed a little longer, placing the signed foundation papers next to the sneakers and wristband. A quiet tribute, nothing flashy. Rachel stepped forward. One more question. Jordan raised an eyebrow. What would you say to Darren right now, if he could hear you? Jordan didn't answer right away. He walked back to the headstone, placed a hand gently on the cold stone. I'd say I'm sorry. That I should have called. That I should have listened. That you were more than a teammate, you were my reminder to be better. And I'm finally listening now. He stood up slowly. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Just a chance to carry the lesson. Then he turned and walked away, this time with Devin beside him. No camera could capture everything that had just happened. But Rachel knew the story had changed again. It wasn't just about loss anymore. It was about what you do with the guilt. What you build from the pieces left behind. She looked at the screen one last time. Then she whispered, Darren, they remember now. 1 year later, the gym was packed, but not with fans screaming for championships or celebrity sightings. This wasn't about selling jerseys. It wasn't even about basketball, not really. It was about remembering a man who never had his moment, and giving that moment now to everyone like him. Michael Jordan stood at center court of a high school gym in Chicago's South Side, flanked by Devin Willis on one side and Rachel on the other. Rows of young athletes, some fresh from tryouts, others already struggling to hang on to their dreams, filled the bleachers. Coaches, former players, and families sat quietly, not sure what to expect. A banner hung overhead. The D12 Project, in honor of Darren Willis. Jordan adjusted the mic in front of him. No cue cards. No teleprompter. I played in a lot of packed gyms in my life, he began, but this one means the most. He paused, scanning the crowd. A year ago, I stood at the grave of a man I hadn't visited in decades. A teammate, a friend, someone who gave everything he had and asked for nothing in return. I stayed quiet for too long. But today, I speak for him. The room was still. Darren Willis wasn't a superstar. He didn't sign sneaker deals. He didn't light up the scoreboard. But he was the kind of player every team needs, the guy who dives for loose balls, who shows up early, who never complains. He gave his best to the game, and when it didn't give back, we weren't there. He looked at Devin. This young man, his son, is doing something we all should have done sooner. He's building a future for guys like his father. Because talent doesn't guarantee peace. And sometimes, those who seem the strongest are holding on by a thread. Devin stepped up, visibly nervous but holding his ground. My dad didn't have a voice when things went dark, he said. But now, this project is giving others one. We offer mental health resources, career counseling, and a network for players who've been cut, dropped, or forgotten. Because their lives don't stop when the buzzer sounds. The room clapped, not wildly, but with meaning. Rachel stood beside them, recording it all. She had spent the past year finishing the documentary. When it was released, it didn't go viral. It didn't trend. But it hit. Quietly, deeply. Former teammates started calling. One by one, forgotten players reached out. Donations rolled in, not from corporations, but from people who knew what it meant to struggle in silence. The D12 project grew faster than expected. Former Bulls teammates offered support. Local therapists volunteered their time. Colleges signed on to help student athletes plan life after the game. And Michael Jordan, he didn't just lend his name. He showed up. Quietly, regularly. Talking to kids, listening to ex-players, walking into places he used to avoid. After the ceremony, Jordan and Devin sat on the edge of the court, watching some of the younger athletes scrimmage. That kid reminds me of you, Jordan said, nodding at a wiry teenager who kept hustling after every ball. Devin smiled. Yeah. I was thinking he looked like my dad. They sat in silence for a bit. You ever think about coaching? Jordan asked. Sometimes, Devin said. But I think I want to do more off the court. Build things. Help guys plan their lives. Jordan nodded slowly. That's smart. Basketball ends. But purpose doesn't. A young player ran over between drills, panting. Mr. Jordan, sir, thanks for coming. This program, it's saving my life. Just wanted you to know. Jordan patted his shoulder. Thank Darren. He's the reason we're all here. The kid nodded, eyes wide, then sprinted back onto the court. Devin looked at Jordan. Do you still think about that night? The last voicemail? Jordan took a deep breath. Yeah. Every day. But now, it doesn't haunt me. It guides me. He pulled something from his pocket, an old, worn wristband. I used to wear this in silence. Now I wear it for him. Devin looked at it and smiled. You think he knows? Jordan stood up, stretching his back. Yeah. I think he knows. They walked out of the gym together, the echo of sneakers and bouncing balls behind them. Outside, the air was warm. Spring was coming early that year. Rachel caught up with them in the parking lot. The final cut's ready, she said. We're airing it next week. You sure you want to keep the ending as is? Jordan looked at her. You mean the part where I cry? She nodded. He shrugged. Yeah. Keep it. Let people see it. Let them know it's okay to break. Devin put a hand on Rachel's shoulder. Thanks for not turning this into a sob story. Rachel smiled. It was never about that. It was about truth. Jordan looked up at the sky for a moment, then back at the gym. I used to think legacy was built in championships. But Darren taught me otherwise. He didn't win titles. But his legacy is helping more people than any ring ever could. The three of them stood there for a while, not needing to say anything more. The story was told. The silence was broken. Inside the gym, the scrimmage continued. No cameras, no legends, just kids chasing dreams, and knowing someone would be there if they fell short. Jordan got into his SUV, rolled down the window, and called out to Devin. You ever need anything, you call. Don't wait. Devin nodded. I won't. Then the car rolled away. Rachel turned back to the gym, the D12 banner waving gently above the doors. The story was over. But the impact had just begun.